You made it. Welcome to the table. You're just in time to make a dice roll.
Wait, for what? What kind of roll are we making?
We're trying to figure out how this system works, so we'll be making an investigation check. Want to do the honors?
Oh, sounds good. I have proficiency in that one. Oh, that's a nat one.
Well, this should prove interesting, if not at least entertaining. Welcome to the Nat One Nerds podcast.
Our story starts in the land Kaleth, where a goblinoid power is rising in the north with contention in its wake. We follow our intrepid heroes who I have called to bring balance to the chaos. Our fearless leader, Roscoe.
So you're the leader of this group? Well, that's what they tell me.
Our lady with one body and two minds, Lila and Garatha.
There are two of us here. They're very distinct personalities, but never dull moment, never lonely. That's for sure.
Our timid Henley.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Our adventurous Fenrir.
And he's gonna start making his way, but he wants to be playing a song as he goes.
And our wise Boudreaux.
Once upon a time, there'd be human, and then they turn into a scary animal, and that's why you call them where, because you don't know where the human went. But
Tomes of the Chaos Bard, an actual play D&D podcast with original songs and music. A podcast for all ages. You can find us on any major podcast platform and YouTube. I am Solemn the Chaos Bard. Come, join us as we unroll the scroll to tell the tale. Bye.
Welcome back to the table, everyone.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Nat One Nerds podcast. I'm Savannah.
As you can tell, we're pretty excited to be back. Really our second episode back, but our first episode where we really dive back into TTRPG related things. And since the holiday season's coming up, we figured what better way to start off season 2 with TTRPG gift recommendations. I have a few recommendations. Savannah has a few recommendations for the TTRPG player in your life, or for yourself if you want to treat yourself. That's also cool. But we also have a guest with us that also has a few recommendations, which you may recognize.
Hey y'all, I'm Emily from Rosemary PG Studios. You might recognize me as the Dungeon Master for the Harbinger's D&D campaign that just recently concluded. But I'm super psyched to be here, to be at the table. Thank you guys so much for having me. Sad to Sierra's not here. She's celebrating the holidays a little early, but we're very excited to be here, and thank you so much for having us, or having me.
Yeah, well, I figured it was poetic. You guys were our first guests when we first started the podcast, and after a short hiatus and a new season, what better way to have you guys back on for kind of a similar episode, because you guys were on our podcast last when we did recommended Dungeons and Dragons books, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it was very fun. So I'm very excited to kind of like have this topic a little bit more again. Additionally, I guess you could say we're your good luck charm. Start the season off strong.
I mean, we are Nat One Nerds, so we may still roll pretty low, but we appreciate the advantage nonetheless. But speaking of that last episode, guys, if you want further ideas, that's actually a pretty great episode to go back to. So if you're looking for more books or more book-related gifts, that's also another episode to go back to that you can find on our podcast. Let's get into the recommendations. So I was thinking, Savannah, do you want to kick us off with your recommended TTRPG gift ideas for everyone?
Yeah, I mean, mine are more of like general-esque stuff. The first one is I've always liked the look of liquid core dice. You know, like I'm a sucker for like a good blue pair of dice, and just liquid core has always caught my attention. Mm-hmm. So those would be cool.
Okay.
They're expensive, but they're cool.
Yeah. They look gorgeous. I see those on Instagram Reels all the time, and oh, so pretty.
Yeah. But then the next thing that I thought of, they're called field notes, right?
Yeah.
So, Field Notes makes these journals they make some for players, and they also make some for dungeon masters, right?
Yeah, they make a D&D specific character journals and D&D specific dungeon master, and then they also have like a little like one just for like creatures and monsters for the dungeon master. But they are Dungeons and Dragons specific. They're not too expensive. You can find them on Amazon.
They usually come in packs of 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's 2, but
they come in packs of 3. So
you can use them all the time.
Yeah, I've used them. I really like them, honestly. I'm very old school, and if you listen to the podcast, you probably could guess this from me because I always advocate for physical books because I am not a bookworm. I am a book dragon. I love to hoard, and I am not ashamed of this anymore. I've accepted this part of myself. But Brandon loves digital stuff. It's a very logical way to do things, but I will still rather risk having too many books behind the Dungeon Master screen or the Game Master screen and try to like pile through it because nobody's complained about it yet, and it makes me happy. Yeah, those little journals from Field Notes is really cool. I've used them a couple times. I've used them for the Dungeon Master aspect. I will say I like the player journals, the D&D character journals better. Between them all, I haven't tried the monster one yet. I want to. The Dungeon Master ones are really nice too. I'm just still in a habit of just using a kind of a small plain notebook to just write notes in. Though I will say like the NPC specs are kind of nice because it helps me keep track of them. Now I just got to remember what voices they do because there's so many times where I'm like, I don't remember what the voice is. And and then I start doing it. They're like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, okay. Anyway.
That is the curse of being a dungeon master. There were so many times that I had to be like, okay, what is this person's voice? I can't even remember for the life of me. I would actually go back on our streams and like listen to when that character popped up and be like, okay, how did I do that voice?
And it's always the random tavern resident. It's that random kid off the street.
Yeah.
It's the monster that you had no intention of allowing reason to play a part in.
For ogres from our campaign.
Oh, yeah. William, Bert, and Tom.
Yeah.
if anybody gets that reference, you are my friend. So, yeah, it's from The Hobbit. Those are the names of the trolls from The Hobbit. I figured ogres fit better in our Theros campaign, so I made them ogres instead of trolls. But
nice.
Plus, I feel like the physique in D&D ogres are still closer to Tolkien's trolls than the really skinny trolls of D&D. I feel like, but
yeah.
And then what's your last one?
My last one, Parker actually gave me for Christmas a couple years ago, and I actually have it, so Emily, you can see it. It's a Rogue's Cunning, like, dice potion. So there's a D20 in here, and you shake it up, and then you flip the bottle upside down, and your dice comes up here.
Like a magic 8-ball?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Like a magic 8-ball.
That's so cool.
I've never actually used it in a campaign, but it's more of like a fun fidget thing. But yeah, so if you flip it upside down, your dice comes up.
Yeah. And it looks like a really pretty potion.
Oh, I should say on this little potion thing, this one, I think that there's a few people that make similar type stuff.
On there.
Oh, did you mention that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I forgot.
There's a few people that make them, but this particular one is by a person called the Witchy Alchemist. She's actually pretty cool. I've actually interacted with her on Instagram a couple times. She's really awesome. And it's just a really fun thing. She does quality work. It looks really cool. It's got the wax seal on it. It's a fun fidget toy that's also functional, but also just really looks cool on your shelf. It just fits all the check boxes.
Because I'm not playing a rogue right now, otherwise I might be tempted to use it. But for the first time in a campaign, I'm not playing a rogue.
Well, the one by her that I would really love, she has one where it's blue and it's labeled Player Tears. So it's...
You just need to cough the, like, mugs that say that.
Yeah, I need that too, but she has one that's like Player Tears, or like I think there's a couple other like DM specific ones that are just really fun.
Okay.
I second Savannah's thing on this one. Definitely check her out on Instagram. So under the Witchy Alchemist.
Definitely a fun Christmas gift idea.
Yeah. I mean, you also can't go wrong with like a dice bag.
Yeah. My dice bag that I have is one that organizes it into dice sides. So, like, oh, I absolutely love this because all of my sets are all intermingled, but it's more of if I need a d20, I just reach in, grab out of the d20 spot and grab a d20. It's very wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, with my dice bag, we didn't get it. I didn't get it for Christmas, but mine is very personal to me. It's an otter that's holding a d20.
That's cute.
It's really cute. This is my dice bag.
Oh, fun. That's exciting.
Yeah. You can never go wrong with those either.
Emily, do you want to go next for your recommended gifts?
Absolutely. I'd love to go next. So
Perfect.
I'm actually going to recommend 4 here, but one of them is one that Sierra has asked me to recommend.
Okay.
So the very first one, I'll do Sierra's first. She recommends this dice tray. It's this one that actually I'm pretty sure I was the one that got her this for Christmas, but it was like so long ago that it's a vague memory. But it's essentially this dice tray that has an outer ring to it that you can store your dice around the tray. And then it has this nice little lid on top, so you can roll the dice in the center of the tray, or you can roll them into the lid of it. But it's a really nice little fancy dice tray that holds just a couple sets of your dice, and it's really portable, so you can just bring it around. So you don't have to be carrying a bunch of like different dice bags or dice trays and stuff. She really enjoys this tray. So yeah, that one's really fun. It's got some fun little like pictures and stuff, designs that you can put on it. So
very cool. I actually think Brandon and Afton have a very similar dice tray where like you can store the dice around. Does it have a lid? It does have a lid. Okay, so it may be the exact same thing.
They might. If they got it off of Amazon, it might be the same thing.
Probably. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I don't recall him ever mentioning if it was from like somebody on Etsy or Instagram or small business type thing. He might have gotten it off of Amazon, but they really enjoy that one and they share it with each other because it's pretty decent size dice tray too, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it is a very nice size one. I've seen hers in person. So yeah, definitely dice trays are a really fun way to go for gifts. Additionally, I was thinking more like basic supplies, depending on like if this person is wanting to get into D&D. One thing I would maybe suggest are these battle maps. I prefer the version of the Battle Grid game mats. They are super nice because they're double-sided, dry erase, and this particular version that I got comes with these like little clear sliders that you can actually put on the edges of the map so it'll lay flat. And it comes with the dry erase markers and erasers, and honestly, it's so nice. It's really big. Because there's 3 mats in the box. And they're double-sided. You actually get 6 different kinds of mats, and they're all very general. This is definitely a really nice like gift, especially for someone who's starting out playing D&D in person. It's really all around good to have a gridded battle map like that.
I will second that because I have the exact same thing that I use frequently. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Same tube, same everything. So I will not only second it for like people getting into D&D, especially if they're starting out as a dungeon master kind of for the first or second time, but even if you've done it for a little while, I just like them because you can kind of like help instead of just a blank white one, which is also, don't get me wrong, that's how I started out. But like these ones are nice because you can kind of get a general feel. So like if they're in a frozen wasteland, you got that covered. If you're kind of in a stony dungeon, you kind of got that covered. No specific details, but it kind of gives like just a simple immersion level without really any effort on your part.
Well, I think it's also helpful for those like visual people. Because like I wouldn't be able to really play D&D without a visual piece. And so the map is great for that.
Oh, absolutely. Especially it's like super critical for those battles, just being able to see where you are on the map. Funny thing that you said that you have the exact same one. I had this before I met my now husband, and he also had the exact same one before he met me. So we ended up just combining them all into the one tube. So we have like 3 copies of all of the maps.
That is amazing. Hey, well, if that's not a testament to how great this product is, I don't know what else to do.
Exactly. If all of us already have them, it's a very good product. Well, I guess the second to last product that I would recommend that I've got on me right now. This one was really nice playing in-person games that I had, but also I still use it as I'm playing online games now. It is actually the official D&D monster cards, but the challenge rating of 0 through 5. It's super nice because, technically I have 0 through 16 actually for CRs. But it's really nice because if you're in the middle of like a session and maybe things are going on for a little while and you're like, oh, I need just like a quick encounter with a monster here, you can just sort through the cards, find the monster that you want, pull it up and be like, all right, here's a picture of the monster. It's on one side. And then all of the stats for the monster card and how to play it are all on the back. And honestly, this has been a lifesaver for me on several sessions that I may or may not have been winging it. It's just really good, especially because I went ahead and organized all of mine. So those of you who are listening in aren't really able to see this, but Parker could see this. I actually organized mine by challenge rating. Additionally, I organized them by monster type. So I have these little like folders in there. It's like monstrosities, 0 to 5, undead, 0 to 5. And so whenever I'm in, say they're in a cemetery, then I just go to the undead and I want a lower level. I go to the 0 to 5 and pull out a monster from there. And I'm like, all right, let's run a little combat encounter.
Yeah, those are really nice. I have those, but I also use something similar that were gifted to me by my former dungeon master. It's similar. They're cards that like hang on the dungeon master screen. And so the title of the monster will be there. There's blank ones for your players. There's blank ones for you to use for whatever. And you just kind of put them on top of the screen in the initiative order. And then all the stats are on there. Now, some of them, like the really big ones, will have more stuff that can't fit. And so you kind of do have to like take it off and turn it over. So that's a little inconvenient, but it's just a simple way to like help remind your players what the initiative order is and like, hey, you're coming up, so but I use something similar. And honestly, as awesome as physical books are, those are kind of more handy than the monster manual or similar.
Yeah, just being able to like easily go snag a monster and just be like, all right, I have the card, I have the stuff I need to run it, rather than pulling up the book and searching through the pages.
Yeah, the only time I've not been able to, because the ones I have and the ones I use are based off the monster manual. So if I want a specific monster that's not found in there, I do still have to go for the book. But I think for some of them, depending on who makes those, because and I'm sure there's a few others, so maybe some of those might have slightly more updated stuff. It's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in that and being like, well, I use some of the more updated stuff. It's like, well, they may have some stuff coming out with the new 2024, or I call it 5.5 edition because that's really what it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what I call it too.
So they may be remaking that. So, it's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and most people, I assume, will probably still be running 5th edition, at least for the next little while. Especially as like the conversation of the 2024 edition starts to get rolling, as more people get their hands on the book. All in all, like it's a nice little fun little gift to get. It was a gift to me actually. So
okay.
And the last recommendation that I would say is actually, this is another notebook. This is a notebook that Sierra and I came together and actually put together for players for Dungeons and Dragons. Well, it's actually system agnostic, so it can be for any tabletop role-playing game. So you can play it for Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder, what else? I was thinking Avatar Legends would be fun with it, but like there's a bunch of different TTRPGs that you can use with this notebook. Like I said, system agnostic, and we call them our campaign keepers. These are specifically geared towards players. We are hoping to come out with a Dungeon Master specific one in the next coming months. But essentially what these are is they allow you to keep track of your character, your bits of your background, your inventory, unique items. So you could put like magic items, you could put like plot relevant items, just something unique in there. You could also keep track of companions. My favorite part about it is the days in game calendar. So you can actually like create your own calendar. Like Sierra has created for our upcoming campaign, the Dissenters campaign. She actually has created her own calendar system. So having this book has been really nice because I'm able to keep track of all the days in the game with the physical calendar here. And then after that, we actually have like a major NPCs section. So you can fill out all of those really important NPCs that you run into a lot. There's also like several different spots around like the NPCs, companions, in all of these different sections here that have blank boxes for you to put stuff in. So kind of like the conversation we were having earlier of like, oh gosh, I can't remember what accent I had for this NPC. You could actually put notes on what accent you used next, like in these little spots of the NPCs. So if you're a dungeon master, this book is also pretty good, but we're coming out with one hopefully in the coming months that will have like more monster pages and stuff like that. Yeah, you can keep track of minor NPCs and all of your session notes. Our second edition has 200 pages, whereas the first edition has 100 pages. Our first edition, we put it at $12 on Amazon. So if you go to our website, rosemarypgstudios.com, you can get the original edition that's just 100 pages, but you can also, from that same spot, go and get the second edition.
Honestly, really cool looking. I mean, I'm looking at it. I also love that it's like hardcover. It's kind of got a formality to it, which I feel like if you use notebooks that have a little bit more to them rather than just whatever, I know for me personally, I usually tend to remember and go back and read them and use them even more so. And I love how it's like system agnostic. So this is like the perfect thing for people that while they may play Dungeons and Dragons and it works perfectly for that, it also works just as great for, as you said, like Avatar Legends or Pathfinder, Fate, the One Ring. I know that's what I would use it for. Maybe if you're like very kind of set in Dungeons and Dragons, and I know a lot of people are, maybe the field notes that Savannah kind of mentioned would be a better place to go for that. But if you're kind of like into that or kind of want something a little nicer, or you're like into all sorts of TTRPGs, then your guys' Campaign Keepers is definitely, I feel like, the way to go. So I love that it's system agnostic. I actually really love that about it.
Yeah, that was something that was really important for us to make sure that we did, and we provided that way that any system that doesn't have a notebook that's specified for it that people have made, that way they can use this and still be able to do that. It's also really good if you're doing like homebrew stuff. That's why there's so many spots that we just have like a bubble that has a blank little like label on it. So that way you can create more sections of organizing in these notes as well. So it's very like custom. You can customize the notes in here. It's a really nice book, a really great gift idea. I definitely really like these. As Parker can see, I've already filled out this one that I have on hand with some of the notes that of my upcoming character for the Dissenters campaign. I'm very excited for that. The Campaign Keepers are really good for that. There are definitely a ton of different like D&D specific notebooks out there But like Parker was saying, this is really good for all different kinds of systems and a great gift for players of various systems.
Pretty sure there's not really a whole lot for, say, my favorite system, the One Ring. There's not a whole lot of product compared to like D&D or Pathfinder or even Call of Cthulhu or anything like that. It's not a top dog system, so that the Campaign Keeper notebook would be perfect for that.
Oh, and we are going down on the price for Black Friday, so we will have a Black Friday sale on them. So keep on the lookout for that.
Perfect. Well, I guess that just leaves me. Honestly, I had to remind myself because I love books, and I had to make sure that I didn't restate one that I had already seen, because we did a whole episode just on D&D books and very D&D related ones. But to kind of throw back to that but still something different, it's a newer thing. The Game Master's Book of series has come up with a few more titles in its thing since that episode has come. And one that I've actually been really enjoying is the Game Master's Book of Astounding Random Tables.
Oh, yes. I've been eyeing that one.
Yes, I love random tables because my players do random things. And it helps keep my Dungeon Master anxiety down a little bit when that happens. So random tables are my friend because a lot of my players really love shenanigans and they really steep into that because we just joke around, make references. We're kind of that kind of group. But the random tables are awesome because they also include, like, there's like, for instance, one of my favorite aspects of this book is that actually something interesting that I didn't fully realize when I got this book is that it has a whole section to help you like world build and homebrew your own setting. So it'll be like the first part is building a pantheon, defining magic, building a planet, building a realm, forms of government. And it will have associated random tables in those sections, but also will kind of not step by step, but it'll give you detailed notes and explanations of those aspects so that you have kind of this, not a step-by-step guide per se, but just like this guide to help you with that. And it's been really fun. So like I've kind of played around with it a little bit and did a building of a pantheon and just kind of rolling random, like how many gods are there? How many, what are they associated with? What's their alignment? And whatnot. So that's really awesome. It has another session for session building, but then it just has like this awesome section where positive and negative potions, items with personalities in items, and honestly, my favorite ones is books. It has a whole sections for when you have that wizard or artificer or just curious character / player that's got to look at the book titles of random libraries or bookshelves you come across. And it has a whole list of like really interesting book titles that, while there's not any information on, it's kind of something that you can build off and be like, hey, we can come back to that. And so I really love this one.
Please tell me it has a table for authors as well that you can come up with, because I'm thinking of a very specific session in the Harbinger's D&D campaign. I was struggling. They were in a library looking for so many books and asking the authors and the contents, and I could have definitely used that table.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to double check to see if it does, because I would be kind of curious about that too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember authors. I think some of them do have
like name generator.
Yeah,
like
I think there is a name generator somewhere in here. And I think a couple of them do at least allude to an author, like it was a wizard, or it was a artificer, or it was a druid type thing. So no authors, unfortunately, that I can see, but I believe there is a name generator is somewhere in this book. But I just love the fact that it took time to do books, and I think that could be really fun. Anything from the Game Master's Book series is awesome, but in particular, the Astounding Random Tables is perfect. The next one I want to recommend, because our roots for this podcast is TTRPG Exploration. And so a system that we haven't yet gotten to that we've been eyeing for a while and hope to get to sooner than later is a system called Blades in the Dark. by John Harper, and it is published by Evil Hat Productions, who also make the Fate and Fate Accelerated systems. And Blades in the Dark, essentially, if you like playing edgy characters and criminals and rogues and all that kind of stuff, this system is 100% made for you, because that's what you play. You play a upcoming criminal gang / organization trying to mark your territory in the wide bustling capital or major city of your choosing, and it is a lot of fun. I first got introduced to this through an actual play, and we've actually had them on for Fate Accelerated. It's Improv Tabletop, and they did a whole miniature campaign with Blades in the Dark, but they did set it in the world of Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Ooh.
And so they were playing Dao Fei gangs in Ba Sing Se.
That's really cool.
And one of the characters' goals was to become the Earth King.
I feel like this would be a really good system for teenagers, especially, when we're so full of angst, right? We can get those edgy characters out of our systems.
But yeah, it's perfect. So yeah, there's a whole system for Avatar Last Airbender. It's Avatar Legends, but they were very creative, and it definitely piqued my interest. And I'm like there's so many cool things I can think of with that system. So definitely, if you're wanting to look into a new system to try out outside of like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and stuff, I would recommend Blades in the Dark. From what I can tell, it's all pretty much contained in one book.
Now you're getting me thinking of that as a Christmas present for my brother, because he is looking for a system, and that sounds like the kind of system that he would enjoy.
My final gift recommendation was also actually a specific dice maker, because when it comes to TTRPGs, dice are always such a safe option.
Never give someone too many dice.
Even if they're not necessarily like a hoarder or a dice goblin or whatever, you still can't go wrong, right? They make great gifts. They make perfect stocking stuffers.
Oh, absolutely.
I did want to shout out this dice maker because I did get a set from her, and I've really enjoyed the set. I really like them. I feel like they're pretty good quality. They're very fun to use. But when it comes to like other dice makers, they can get like handmade dice can get pretty expensive really fast, because it is its own art form, and it is an art in my opinion. I'm sure most people in the TTRPG space would probably agree with that sentiment. But I feel like it's that nice combination of it's fun dice. It's more than just the cheap sets off Amazon or Chessex or whatnot. It's definitely very much a couple steps above that. But it doesn't go into the realm of like, it's going to be like 60, 80, $100 for, or even more. I've seen really high prices. I think one I saw was like upwards to 150, and I was like, it will stay in my cart forever.
Yeah, I saw one that was $160 for a set. And
I'm sure it's super cool, but it's super expensive.
Yes.
I'm sure she's on other platforms, but I follow her on Instagram. She goes by Kenzie Cauldrons, and she just makes really good dice, and I really enjoy them. So I would recommend giving her Instagram page a look, and we'll provide a link for that, and we'll provide a link for a lot of what we've talked about. Yeah. Because as awesome as it is here to hear our voices, it's probably nice to be able to see the products. And the reality is, we are not a video platform; we are an audio only. And we are happy in our little audio-only bubble. So here we will stay.
You've got a market for it, right?
Yeah.
Actually, on the dice thing, I just wanted to say, if you enjoy watching dice be made, I would definitely follow Busy Wizard Dice on Instagram. She makes these cute little videos about the process of all the different dice that she sells on her shop, of all of them being made. And she posts fairly frequently. So if you really enjoy watching the process of dice making, I would definitely give her a follow. It's one of the things I look forward to when I hop on Instagram every day. It's like the first thing that pops up on my phone when I open up Instagram. It's just another little video that's like, all right, now we're inking the dice sets, and yeah. So that's just not really a gift idea, but it's an entertaining watch.
So yeah, so that's I think that's some of our gift recommendations. As I said, we'll post links to them so you guys can like check it out and actually, purchase if you so wish. These are definitely things that we've personally have enjoyed or have found really useful while playing tabletop role-playing games. And as we said, if you want further recommendations from us, you can check out an earlier episode where Emily and Sierra came on to talk about specifically Dungeons & Dragons books that we've really enjoyed, because there's so many in 5th edition that you can have an entire like full-blown shelf full of them if you really wanted to, not including stuff like the Game Master's Book of or stuff from like Kobold Press and stuff like that.
I do actually have a full shelf of D&D books.
Yeah, I kind of had to, outside of the Game Master's Book of, I've kind of tempered back. There's only a couple more, I think, from 5th edition. I think Ghosts of Saltmarsh and Candlekeep Mysteries are kind of the last two that I'm kind of interested in from official 5th edition stuff that I'm looking into, because one does the whole seafaring and ships and the whole mechanics for that. And then Candlekeep Mysteries is just a bunch of one-shots that take place in a library. And as you can tell, I like that kind of stuff, both in reality and also in my escapism. Even in my escapism, I still like to read books that further escape from whatever's going on. So it's just a rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's no way to win.
I view it as a win, but
no,
that's just
I guess that's true. But thank you so much for having us on. This has been such a treat to see Savannah and you again. Hopefully we'll be able to come back.
Guys, we appreciate you listening. If you don't already, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. You can find our podcast pretty much on any podcast platform you can think of. If you can and would like to, leave us a 5-star rating, share with your friends. Anything really helps. But again, we just appreciate you listening, especially after our short hiatus, and kind of really getting the ball rolling again with this. We sincerely appreciate that. Until next time, guys, happy rolling.